Hello and welcome to the match review of match day 4 of the non-league season. So as always, we're going to start in the Vanarama National League, and the first game that I wanted to talk about took place in the North East between Gateshead and York City. After half time it was 1-1 and an amazing second half from Gateshead saw them win 6-1. Again, another statement from Gateshead. A lot of goals scored so far this season, 12 goals, only 2 conceded, so that shows that they've got a goal threat up front and they've also got a tight defence. So the second game that I wanted to talk about took place down on the south coast between Eastleigh and Dover Athletic. At half time it was 0-0, then after 80 minutes it was 2-0 to Dover, but then in the last 10 minutes it went mad. Eastleigh pulling it back to 2-2 in the 81st and 86th minute before Dover going to get 2 more goals in the 87th and 89th minute to eventually win 4-2. Now these teams both finished inside the top 7 last season. So Eastleigh have spent a lot of money this summer. They've just announced another signing yesterday in Jason Taylor from Northampton, another really expensive signing. They've brought so many players from the Football League that should be in the Football League, and for them to only get 4 points from their opening 4 games, it's not a great start for them. They should be getting more points. So the third game that I wanted to talk about took place between North Ferriby and Guiseley, and it was North Ferriby's first National League win of the season, a 3-2 victory thanks to an 88th minute winner from Simon Russell, breaking the hearts of Guiseley once again. Another game that they conceded in the last few minutes of the game to lose the match, just like they did at home against Wrexham on Tuesday. They conceded in the 93rd minute to lose 3-2, and they've lost 3-2 again thanks to a late goal that they conceded, and they have no points so far. They are the only team in the National League that has made that sort of start, no points. A really poor start from Guiseley, and they've got to pick it up if they want to stay in the league next season. So the final game that I wanted to talk about in the National League took place between Boreham Wood and Tranmere. Tranmere, they've made a great start, same with Boreham Wood. Tranmere before this game had 100% record, so they won 3 out of 3 and they made it 4 wins out of 4 with a 1-0 victory over Boreham Wood. A goal from Connor Jennings in the 33rd minute maintained their 100% record. So looking over to the league table, that means that Tranmere are unsurprisingly top of the league, 12 points out of a possible 12, shortly followed by Gateshead on 9 points, Macclesfield on 9 points, Dagenham and Redbridge also on 9 points, and in 5th place is Boreham Wood on 7 points. Then more negatively looking down to the relegation zone, and in 21st place is a team that finished in the playoffs last year, and that is Braintree, only 2 points from their opening 4 games. Not a great start for them, but it's not really that surprising considering they've lost a lot of their really good players from last season. They've lost the nucleus of their squad, and they're not the underdogs anymore. People are expecting them to do well this season, whereas last season they went into it with no expectation to finish as high as they did. So it's going to be a lot more difficult this season for them, and that's shown with their start, finishing 21st after 4 match days. In 22nd is Woking on 1 point, another team that should be doing better really, but they've only got 1 point. Bromley picked up their first point today. So, they're off the mark. Only enough to put them into 23rd though, and Guiseley, as I mentioned earlier, no points so far this season from their opening 4 games, so they are bottom of the league. Now moving down into the National League North, and the first game is the real standout result from last night, and that was up at Altrincham as they lost 6-0 to AFC Fylde. An awful result that is for Altrincham, and an insane result from Fylde, 5-0 at half time. They certainly weren't holding back. They went all guns blazing in the first half and completely blew Altrincham out of the water. 2 wins and 1 draw from Fylde's opening 3 games. So a great start for them. They are in 3rd place in the league. So Altrincham have 3 draws and 1 loss. They've conceded 12 goals so far this season. So their defence is certainly not looking very promising. Not doing well at all. That's something that they will have to improve on. They haven't scored too many goals either, but their defences, I think, will be their main worry. They need to really keep out teams like Fylde. They can't be letting 6 in at home against Fylde if they're going to be serious challenges up near the top of the league, which is what they want to do after coming down from the Vanarama National League last year. So the second game that I wanted to talk about in the Vanarama National League North was between Boston and Tamworth. And before this game, Boston had no points. They had not even got a draw or a win from the first 3 games, but they finally broken their duck. They've got a victory against Tamworth, 3-0 victory. Goals from Fairhurst, Colley and Hillard got their season underway. They finished in the playoffs last year, and they needed to get their season underway as quick as they could because they'd had an awful start. So the third game that I wanted to talk about was between Gloucester and Worcester. Now this game was being played at Bromsgrove, as that is where Worcester are currently ground sharing, but Gloucester and Worcester the 2 cities are both on the River Severn, so this is known as the Severn Derby. and Gloucester came out on top in this one, winning 3-2 thanks to a hat-trick from Luke Hopper. So now looking over to the National League North table, and sitting top of the pile is Halifax, who have 8 points from 4 games. Similarly, Harrogate have 8 points from 4 games. They are currently in second. In third place is AFC Fylde, who have 7 points from just 3 games. Then in fourth is Kidderminster Harriers with 7 points from 4 games. And then Salford City are in fifth, the newly promoted side, with 7 points from 3 games. Now looking down to the relegation zone, and in 20th place is Nuneaton. They finished fairly high in the league last year. They were mounting a playoff challenge, but they have struggled this start of the season. They've got 1 draw and 2 losses from their opening 3 games, and they have currently got 1 point. Same as Worcester, they have 1 point, but they have played 4 games, 1 draw and 3 losses, and that is the same as Gainsborough, 1 draw and 3 losses, and they sit in 22nd on goal difference. Also, the top scorer in the league at the minute is Tom Denton of Halifax. He has 6 goals. So now across to the National League South, and the standout result from matchday 4 was down at Maidenhead, who beat Hemel Hempstead 5-0. 4 goals from Dave Tarpey leaves him as the league's top scorer, currently on 7 goals. Second game in the National League South was between Margate and Hampton and Richmond Borough. Now, Hampton and Richmond Borough, they ended up winning 4-2 against Margate. Goals from Lowe, Kiernan, Christian Jolly against his former club, and Kabamba. And this continues Hampton and Richmond Borough's really good start to the new league season. Obviously, just promoted to the National League South, and they've had a great start. The third match in the National League South that I'm going to talk about is between Bishop Stortford and Hungerford. Hungerford, another newly promoted side, and they get another victory, a 2-1 victory. It was 1-0 to Bishop Stortford at half-time, but in the second half, 2 goals from Mike Jones in the 57th minute and Luke Williams in the 76th minute ensured that Hungerford were going to go home with the 3 points. And the final game that I'm going to just quickly mention was between Weston-super-Mare and Poole Town. Now, Weston-super-Mare before this game were the only team that had a 100% record. They had won 3 out of 3, but they drew 0-0 at home. They drew a blank, so now no teams in the National League South have 100% records anymore. That result for Weston-super-Mare doesn't affect the league table, as they are still sat top of the league on 10 points, closely followed by Hungerford, also on 10 points, just behind on goal difference. Then in third is Maidenhead with 9 points. Fourth is Hampton and Richmond Borough with 9 points as well. And in fifth is Moneybags Ebbsfleet. Then moving down to the relegation zone in the National League South. In 20th is Oxford City sitting on 3 points. Then in 21st is Welling United. Awful start from them, only 1 point. Newly relegated from the National League. They've had an awful start under Mark Goldberg. They've got to turn it round sooner rather than later, but they sit in 21st on 1 point. Then in 22nd is Concord Rangers on 0 points so far. So that's it for my Matchday 4 review of the non-league season. If you've enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.